Welcome to the Actor's Kitchen, where we cook up acting techniques and good eats. Today, I'm going to run you through some of my recent acting techniques that I've been using in my rehearsals and just ways that I've been spicing up my rehearsals. Of course, whenever I think of a nice acting rehearsal, I always think of a delectable beef goulash. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing that I always do in my rehearsal processes is that I write down what needs to get done, just like the recipes when I'm cooking. And the next thing I do is I grab my materials or my mise en place for the rehearsal, just like cooking. I grab my scripts, I grab my pencil, a highlighter, I make sure to grab my phone and a speaker so that I can play some music while I'm rehearsing. And before I get going in the rehearsal, I make sure to analyze the script first so that I know what I'm going to rehearse. Am I going to do scene 1, scene 2 today, act 1, act 2, like what am I working on? So the first thing I do when I get into my rehearsals is that I always got to find a free space where I can just have no distractions, and it's just a place where I can play around. Similar to like finding a free stove where I can play around with the food, get it all cooked up good. The next thing that I want to do in my rehearsals is I always start by warming up. I generally listen to music, preferably some jazz, Miles Davis. This is also the only point in my rehearsal process where I use my phone. Just a heads up, phone, it's distracting, so I don't like to use it a lot, but yeah. And I just warm up my body, get ready to act, and I always warm up with my body first because I feel like movement in the body is the foundation of acting. So once I'm done warming up, I try to find the color and the shape of my character. Now, that might kind of sound weird, but my method focuses on, when I'm reading about the character in the script, what color do I think of about this character? So it's kind of like the meat changing color from the pink of uncooked meat to the brown of the nice cooked meat that you want in the dish that we're making. And the other thing that I focus on is the shape of the character. What shape does this character make me feel like? Like, is this character a square? Are they like a really stocky, strong person? Are they a circle? Do they move around like very circular? Now, after I figure out the shape and the color of my character, I then move on to moving around the room and moving around the space as that character and keeping the shape and the color in mind. And then I come up with like different associations of like what that color and shape would mean to that character. So for example, if my character was green, my association with green is like kind of grody stuff, or like reptiles, like they're kind of like slithery and they're gross. So I would have my character walk around like he's kind of slithery, slimy, not a good dude to hang around. Now, just like how the beef is kind of the main protein, it's the main stuff of this dish. Movement, I always start off with the movement. Like I said before, I always start off with the movement of my character and how my character would move around, thinking about these different colors and shapes, because movement is just the foundation of the character, and it can really tell a story better than the character speaking. And before I started realizing this from like classes I've been taking, I really just started to I focused on the dialogue before, and it just made my characters come out really flat. And when I was on stage, I didn't really know how to move. I didn't know what I should be doing as this character, other than just like standing, saying my lines. So I always start out with movement first in my rehearsals. Alright, so just like the sauces and the spices that we added in here, the next part of my rehearsal is focusing on the script. The sauces and the spices, they add direction to the dish. And that's what the script does. The script adds direction to what I'm actually playing around with in my rehearsal process. And so the first step in analyzing and going through the script is I go through the script with movements. How would my character react in their movements to the other character's dialogue? So, secondly, the second time I go through the script, after I finish with the movements, I go through the script and I actually focus on the dialogue and what my character is saying. So it's kind of like the pasta in the dish. It's not the main star of the dish, but you gotta have dialogue, because without it, then the play is just a bunch of movements. I like to start big with the movements and the dialogue because it just brings a lot of energy in my rehearsal process and brings a lot of energy to my character. And I feel like it's much easier for me to start big and then go smaller into the like more minute actions that I have throughout the play than it is to go from small actions to big actions. Now, once all the pieces are put together in the recipe, just like in rehearsal, once all the pieces are put together, it's time for me to test out different ways that my character can reach their objective within the circumstances of the script itself. So I want to test out as many ways that I possibly can reach my objective, even if it feels strange or feels weird, because it might lead me to finding a new way to reach my objective, and it might just work better for the play itself. Now, one last thing that I want to just say is that I don't usually complete every single one of these steps in one single rehearsal, or at least I don't complete the whole entire script in one single rehearsal. I usually go through these steps with different parts of the script in mind, and that just goes with the beginning of writing down what I want to accomplish in my rehearsals. So my rehearsals they're just similar to making a meal, in that I combine a lot of flavors of my creativity to create a character that I know will feel realistic on stage or in front of a camera on a movie set. Cheddar, I got the cheese in my pocket. Check it. We're making the paint, ready?
Beautiful.
How do you get that out?
I will reach into, don't worry. Don't worry. Personally, I will reach in. Go for the shot.
So once all the pieces are put together, just like this recipe, it's time for me to test it. Alright, so once all the pieces are put together... Now, once all the pieces are... This is so... Once all the pieces are... Then my character... Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going!
Okay. This blooper video is gonna be fire.